think about all the fundamental things they talked about. As I think about Brett, as I introduce him, one of my guys, I see so much in the same thing. When Troy Fields, one of our national sales directors out of Dallas, Texas now, started, I saw the same energy, I saw the same fire, I saw the same drive. And let me make sure you guys understand this, okay? I mean, this is a young person's business. And you need to hear this, okay? Now, I'm not young chronologically, but, you know, there's an old saying that eyeballs don't wrinkle, okay? And, you know, and Helen Keller said there's only one worse thing than having no sight, and that's having no vision. Guys, I don't care how old you are, you can have a vision, you can have energy, and John and I were talking one day, and he said, Bill, what do you think the company needs right now? I said, John, one thing and one thing only is energy. If everybody had John's energy, I mean, he is a weird individual, right? Would you agree with that? I mean, because think about this, he is at a higher plane right now, and I guarantee you, he's running on less fuel, he's worn out all the time, and to make it worse, the Georgia Bulldogs are getting pounded like a mat. It's sickening, right? And so, you know, think about having to wake up cheering for them. I mean, it's just repulsive, right? Well, let me tell you something. And I know I can't do this justice, okay? But when I think of Brett Burks, and I want you just to be with me a second, you know, and I think about him going to national sales director. I think of the future of this company. I had a privilege of playing a lot of teams, you know, and I do look at a team like Auburn with this Cam Newton kid. And, you know, Auburn University was just a pretty good team, and now they're a great team because of the addition of somebody like this to their program. And don't think that, I don't care how powerful Primerica is, and make no mistake about it, this is the greatest company in the history of the world, because there's not one company in the world that's going to give you and I a legitimate chance. I mean this with all my heart. They say that 74% of the people that have a chance to be wealthy in this country, the only shot you and I have of getting there is by owning our own business, building our own business. And there's nobody else going to give us a legitimate shot, a realistic shot of having our own business and of getting to that position. Like, this isn't hype, this isn't BS, this is the real deal. But you got to be the real deal. And so when you come to Primerica, you know, and you bring something special like this guy does, you make the entire company better. And I mean that with this guy is so special, and you know, I love my son, okay, Blake, and I love Lauren and my daughter, but I really, and I'm definitely old enough to be his dad, and he'll probably make some, maybe even more than that, but I don't have him. This guy is so special to me in my heart. He's like a son. He really is like a son to me, you know, and I feel that way about some of my guys in my business, you know, that I get a chance to work with. And, you know, obviously Collis Temple is one of the guys, you know, and we're a little different color, but we're the same blood, okay? And it doesn't matter, okay? And I say the same this, because you say, well, he can't be your son. I mean, there's no way he can be your son, you know? But I'm going to tell you something. I couldn't be any prouder than this guy. Let me tell you this. You look at his numbers, and that doesn't, let me tell you this, that doesn't describe this guy. His numbers doesn't describe this guy. You know, got in business 7 years ago, and then 4 years ago moved down from Washington down to Fort Lauderdale. And it's basically started from scratch there, and from there made that quantum leap we were talking about to national sales director. I think this guy probably be our next millionaire, $1 million earner in Primerica. But let me tell you something, I really believe this from the bottom of my heart. I think when the history books are written in Primerica, and you go back and look at different eras, and there's always a leader or a group of leaders coming up, and that group of leaders make the entire company explode. And this is an historic time in Primerica, and this is a historic leader in Primerica, and this is a great, great person in Primerica. And I want you to help me welcome National Sales Director Brett Burks.
Tell you what, Mr. Whittle never ceases to amaze me. You know, he teaches a lot about business. Now he's teaching about physics. It's unbelievable, you know. Quantum leaps, unexplainable growth. You know, when I think about unexplainable growth, I'm thinking about this business. I'm thinking about black holes. I'm thinking about Mr. Whittle's ears, right? They just never stop growing, you know? I talked to some of his players, and they said, hey, listen, Coach Whittle hears everything. But I like riding the car with him, you know, because we get free satellite radio. He just picks it right up, you know? So it's always a fun time, you know, hanging with Mr. Whittle. You know, it's great. But I'm here to talk about building a business. You know, we're going to talk about it early on. What the new person has to realize is that's what you're doing here. You are building your own business. You are the CEO of your own company. It's not kind of like starting a business. It is starting a business. And to better understand what's ahead of you over the next 30, 60, 90 days as you get started in this business, I want you to forget about Primerica for a second. I want you to forget about finance for a second. What I want you to do is think about it like, I don't know if you're like me, but back in the day, you know, when I was younger, I always talked about starting my own business. Me and my best buddy in the whole world, Shaq Islam, who's in the business now with me, we always talk about starting a business. Man, wouldn't it be cool if we had our own business, we had our own deal, right? So let's say we had our own business. Let's forget about Primerica. Let's say me and you were going to start our own restaurant. Okay, we already have the plan, we already have the mission, we already have all the thought process and thinking done, right? Plan, open up a steakhouse on Main Street. Mission, provide quality meat at a reasonable price and to make sure we turn a profit within 3 years, right? Because most small businesses don't turn a profit in the first year or two. So we have our mission, the thought process, and all that's down. What are the action steps we have to take right away? Most people, the first one they think of is what? Location, right? Do we need a location? Absolutely. We need location, table, chairs. We need the steak, the wine. We need everything else, the dishwashers and the ovens and everything else that we need to get it going. Next to it, we'll put dollar signs because number one reason most people don't go into business for themselves, even though they want to, is what? Lack of money. They don't have the capital or they can't borrow it or they don't want to borrow it. But money prevents a lot of people from starting a business. To start a nice restaurant, I don't know, probably $1 million or so to get a nice restaurant. What else? Well, I've never started a restaurant, but I do know there's licenses required. You need certain licenses, certain permits, right? You have to have a liquor license, permits. You have to be FDA inspected, make sure there's no rats running around, right? You have to have certain codes, fire codes, health hazards, and all that good stuff. What else? Well, you got to build a team. See, if I'm not a great cook and you're not a great cook, what do we need? We need a great cook, right? So when I went to college, they called it human resources. Right? Whether you call it human resources or hiring and training employees, I like calling it build a team so that people feel like they're a part of something. They feel a part of a team, something that they can accomplish a goal together. So I like calling it build a team, but no matter what you call it, you got to hire and train a cook to cook. You have to hire and train a server to serve, a bartender to tend, a host to host, a manager to manage, right? You got to get that going. As a matter of fact, of all four of these things we're going to talk about, all four of them are vital. Not important, vital. But if there's one more important than any of the others, it's that one right there, building a team. See, your team is only as strong as its weakest link. You can have the greatest product on planet Earth, but if you don't have a good marketing team, guess what? No one will ever hear about it. If you have a great marketing team, but your accounting team's terrible, they can cook your books so fast, you'll be out of business even before you started, right? John Wooden, the late, great John Wooden, the best college basketball coach of all time, he said this: I don't care how much you know about basketball. You can know all the X's and O's. You can know everything there is to know about everything there is to know about basketball. You can have the greatest system on planet Earth. But if you don't have talent on your team, you don't win ball games. Now, true or false? That's absolute truth. And as it is in sports, so it is in business. Now think about it. Phil Jackson might be the greatest basketball coach ever, right? But if you take Kobe Bryant off the Lakers, they're not winning championships. You take Michael Jordan off the Bulls, they're not winning championships. Bill Belichick might be the greatest football coach. But if you take Tom Brady and some of that talent off the Patriots, they're not winning Super Bowls. As it is in sports, so it is in business. You could be literally the smartest businessman on planet Earth, and you can have the best product on planet Earth. But if you don't have the right team surrounding you, you won't win ball games. You got to have a team. Now, lastly, what's the only way we make money? We have to build a client base. We have to build a client base. So look at these four things. The good news is, you know, even though I never owned and operated a business before here, and I know most people we talk with, most people that are out there, maybe they've never started a business. But I can tell you, American business is common sense. Unfortunately, common sense isn't all that common, right? The great news, it took us 2 minutes to realize what it would take to start a restaurant. Great news. The bad news, we're not starting a restaurant. We're starting a financial brokerage, right? But if you look at it, isn't it the same stuff? Don't we need a location with table and chairs? Yes. But the good news is for you and me, that part's provided for now. Your regional vice president will provide that part. See, and that's what allowed somebody like Brett Burks, little old average Brett Burks from average town America, a chance to get into business at the highest level of American business, financial services. The reason why I was able to get into business for myself was because that part was provided. If I had to provide it myself, I wouldn't have been able to do it because I didn't have the money. But everything else I'm responsible for. Everything else you're responsible for. Remember, you're the CEO of your own business. It is your responsibility. Do we need a license? Absolutely. Check. Now, we don't deal with the FDA, but we do deal with the SEC and, the FINRA and the State Insurance Commission Board. Do we have to build a client base? Check. A business without clients is a business without money. Do we have to build a team? Of course. If you want your own office, of course. So we have to do all these things all at the same time. One of the biggest ways that we're able to help you out is by helping you, because what they say is this: people learn from their own mistakes, but wise people learn from other people's mistakes. And the reason why this works is because there are people that have gone before me, in some cases way before me, like Bill Whittle, like way before me. And so you get to learn from people that have been around for a while and that have already done the steps that we need to take. So now I don't have to know everything. All I have to do is follow the advice of the elders, right? The people that have been around for a while. And so that's what we get to do here. I can help you from preventing to make the same mistakes that I've made and that I've watched others make. Now, some mistakes, the consequences are nothing. Just not even a slap on the wrist. Better luck next time, go get them, Tiger. But some mistakes will set you back. And one of the biggest mistakes I see people make early on is they don't do all three of those things at the same time. See, whether we're starting a car dealership, a restaurant, a clothing line, or a financial brokerage, we need to move these three things forward all at the same time. We got to get licensed and educated. We got to build a team, and we got to build a client base. We got to do all three of those things at the same time. Now, the mistake is people focus on one, then the other, then the other. And you can't do it. You can't do it. Could you imagine if you ordered the steak, but you didn't have a cook cooking? What would happen? The steak would rot. What if you had the steak and a cook, but nobody lined up to buy it? Now what? You have cooked steak that goes bad. What if you had a cook and clients, but no steak? You get the idea. You can't do just one. You have to do all three at the same time. You have to. So we have to push all three of the fronts forward at the same time. Too many times people come in, they start thinking too much, and they say, well, wait a minute. How can I possibly build a team and build a client base if I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm not licensed and educated? Now, is that a logical thought? Absolutely. But if you follow that logical thought, you will get crushed, you will get rocked, and you will be gone. Why? Let me tell you why. See, if I wait to learn everything and get all my licenses, well, first, you never learn everything. I still don't know everything. I've been here 7 years. There's still a lot to learn, right? Whittle's been around 70 years. He still doesn't know everything. Now, the point is, you never learn everything. So let's rephrase it. If I wait to learn enough and get all my licenses, well, what's enough? When's the line come where you say, enough, I'm ready to go? It's never. So if I waited to learn everything, I would get bored to tears because I'd be taking notes, taking tests, and just learning. I'd be bored for 6, 8, 10 months. But not only will I be bored, I'll be bored and broke because I haven't got any clients. So no clients, no money. So I'm going to be bored and broke for 6, 8, 10 months. But not only will I be bored and broke, I'm going to be bored, broke, and lonely because I haven't hired anybody. So I'm going to be bored, broke, and lonely for 6, 8, 10 months. And if you're still too hard-headed to quit, which could be a good thing, right? Could be a bad thing. But if I'm still too hard-headed to quit and I finally recruit somebody, what are they going to do? They're going to do the exact same thing I did, which is take forever to do anything, right? Because it's like People take on the characteristics of you. If you want top producers and people that get off to a fast start, you got to be a fast producer and get off to a fast start. You got to be a top producer, right? But if you're a slow starter and a low producer, that's what you'll attract. So you need to get out there and get after it. We have to do all three of these things at the same time. Now let me explain it to you though. If it was up to me in the beginning, in the first 30 to 60 days, if it was up to me to build my own team and build my own client base, there's no way I would have done it. There was no way. I was 23-year-old. I was a young punk kid. I knew nothing about nothing. So if it was up to me alone to do it, there's no way I'd be successful. That's why 9 out of 10 small businesses fail. So why? If I wait, I'm doomed. If I do it myself, I'm doomed. So why does it work? How does it work? The reason I can look in you and everybody's eyes and say you are guaranteed to win here is because in the first 30 to 60 days, you're not going to build your team and build your client base. I'm going to do it for you. In the first 30, 60 days, I didn't build my team and build my client base. Mark did it for me. So I watched as I'm going to do it with you, right? You're going to watch as I build you 2 to 5 licensed agents. You're going to watch as I build you a small client base and you get referrals. So in the first 30, 60 days, you're going to have a business moving and growing. And within 30, 60 days, you don't have $1 million business by any stretch of the imagination, of course, but you got some momentum. And most importantly, you've watched me do it. Now, once you get on your own, you become a soloist, you go have some success, and then you become a trainer. And I want you to really learn this business from the trainer's perspective. I really want you to understand it from my side of the desk. Why did he say that? Why did he do it like that, right? Because you'll be a trainer for years. You'll be a trainee for 30 to 60 days. We want you blowing through that. So I really want you to make sure that you understand this business from the trainer's perspective. Now, as I get to the next part, I can tell you that this business has taught me 2 things: how money works and how to go into business for yourself and be successful. And it's going to teach you to do those things as well. How to go into business for yourself and be successful, and how money works. When it talks about going into business for yourself, there's a lot of things you have to do no matter what business you're in. Whether you're starting a car dealership, clothing line, music label, financial brokerage. You got to be licensed. You got to get certified. You have to build and maintain client relationships and client relations. But the most important thing is surrounding yourself with the right business partners. You got to get yourself good people surrounding you, because no man is an island. The reality of America is nothing great will ever be accomplished by any one person. There are no Rambos in American business. See, you've heard the stories before. 2 heads are better than 1. 3 heads are better than 2. Behind every great man, there's a great woman. These stories aren't made up. These are the facts of life. This is how it works. Now, let's look at business history. Bill Gates had a business partner named Paul Allen. Steve Jobs had a business partner. The Google boys had each other. And Thomas Edison had 3 partners as he started the company we now know as GE. So if the great Thomas Edison didn't do it by himself, if the great Bill Gates didn't by himself, I know I'm not going to be able to. And I'm pretty sure you're probably not either. So if you're serious about winning an American business, whether you're starting a restaurant or a car dealership, you need to get yourself some strong business partners. What I want you doing over the next 24, 48 hours, I want you thinking about the 3 to 10 people in your life that you'd want as business partners, that you know that if you guys came together, you'd win. Because remember, in basketball, it's not always the 5 best players that win, but the 5 players that make the best team that wins. So you need to get yourself the right guys early on. Bill Gates did, Steve Jobs did, Thomas Edison did. You're going to as well. So let's make sure we get the right partners. And see, as we understand business at a higher level, I had to learn everything from scratch. And so one thing I knew was, in order to succeed in business, you had to have foresight, not hindsight. See, hindsight's 20/20. Everybody has it, and it won't pay you anything. But foresight, you can make a lot of money. So what I did was I took the liberty of looking at other businesses. See, in the last 50 years, the 2 businesses that I thought probably would, if even someone average like me, I could have been successful in these businesses if I started 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. Now, I know today a lot of the wealthy guys are these computer guys, these chip makers. Well, maybe I'm just, I'm not going to come up with some computer chip everybody uses, okay? So maybe I'm just not special, I'm average. So if I was to get into one of these businesses, I would like to think I'd be worth $1 million today if I got into these businesses 50 years ago. Those two businesses are the real estate brokerage business, not investing in real estate, but the sales of real estate. And the franchising business made popular by fast food, right? Made popular by different burger places or sub shops. But the brokerage opportunity made popular by real estate, and the franchise opportunity made popular by fast food joints, right? As if I were in either one of those businesses, 50 years ago, if I got started in the franchise business, I know some of the best franchises that sell for maybe $1 million today sold for $5,000 40 years ago. I'd like to think if I was there and I bought one, I'd be worth $1 million today. And the same thing in the real estate business. Now, let's take a look at what these guys did to create an empire. Now, both of them have a vastly different product. The product here, property, real estate. The product here, burgers, fast food, subs. Two totally different products, but they had the same basic mission, and that was to build an empire, to build a huge organization, just like you and me want to build an organization. So let's look at what they did. But first, let's remember it takes foresight, and I hope you guys get this, because this part right here changed my life. See, if you go and tell your friends and family today that you just bought a franchise, they're going to give you the thumbs up. They're going to say, wow, I didn't know you had it like that, man. You're the man. Hey, why don't you let me own 10% partner, right? What they're telling you by giving you the 2 thumbs up, not that it's going to be a good opportunity, but that it's already been one. They're giving you the 2 thumbs up because it's already been one. Not that it's going to be one, right? Everybody realizes that it worked. And the same thing with real estate. You go out there and you tell them you're getting involved, they might say now's not the right time, but everybody knows somebody that did well in real estate. So again, they're telling you not that it's going to be a good one, but it's already been one. Because let's rewind the clock. 40 years ago, let's say one of the top fast food guys came up to my uncle, and my broke uncle, my broke friend, and started talking about what's going to happen, that they're going to have franchises all over the world. There's going to be 40,000 locations. There's going to be millions of jobs for high schoolers and immigrants. They're going to redefine American business. We're going to be talked about for, hundreds of years to come, the way the business happened. And here goes my uncle and my friend who's never seen chain restaurants before. Remember, 50 years ago, there weren't restaurants in every town. And so here comes this guy who's wild-eyed and crazy and goes, hey, I figured it out. We're going to franchise. We're going to have millions. You're going to be a million. And all you have to do is give me $5,000 right now, today. What do you think my uncle's going to say? You want $5,000? You want money from me? I've never had to pay for a job before. What are you talking about, right? And in the beginning, when the franchises were selling for $5,000, anybody could have got it. But see, it takes vision to have gotten it. And this is the biggest mistake people make. If you want extraordinary in return, you have to give extraordinary. The laws of physics don't cease to exist in American business, right? You reap what you sow. Every action is an equal and opposite reaction, cause and effect. If you want extraordinary in return, you have to give extraordinary in exchange. In the beginning, you had to give extraordinary vision and extraordinary work ethic. If you missed it, today, you have to give extraordinary money, and you get extraordinary in return. Either way, if you want extraordinary, you have to give it. And most people, they didn't have the extraordinary vision. See, they let people say the franchise wasn't real. The franchise is going to come and go. It's not real. They're just after your money. You can't really own a business for $5,000. Missed out. You ever seen anybody that missed on one of those opportunities? I was talking to one the other day. He had a chance right there. He goes, well, you win some, you lose some. You win some, you lose some, man. That was the opportunity of a life. And you just sat it out. You didn't even give it a shot. You didn't even give it a chance. See, there's no shame in trying and failing. The shame is in never trying, to always sitting on the sidelines, never getting out of the stands, getting in the game and playing. That's the shame. But let's take a look at how these businesses operated. As we know now, most people passed on it when they had the chance. Here's what I want to iterate. If you wait until everybody agrees it's a good opportunity, it will be too late. Now, as we look at these businesses, what they do, Mr. Real Estate, wanted to create the biggest real estate empire in all the world. So he wanted to sell more houses than anybody on planet Earth. That was his mission. Did he go out and sell the houses? Did he sit in the open houses and all weekend and try to sell the houses? No. He recruited brokers. And the brokers were able to run their own location. Did the brokers sell the houses? No. The pyramid went further. See, brokers hired the agents, and it was the agents that sold the houses, and that's how it works. Big business owner recruited small business owner recruited salesman. Now some people say, oh, Brett, that's just in the real estate business. All right, let's take a look at the franchise. Mr. Fast Food went out to sell more burgers than anybody on planet Earth. He wanted to create a burger empire and sell more burgers than anybody. Did he sit there and sell the burger, flip the burger, and franchise the burger? No. What'd he do? He went out and recruited people we refer to as operators or franchisees. Did the franchisee flip the burger and serve the burger? No. Again, pyramid went further. The franchisee hired somebody, paid them $10 an hour to flip it, $10 an hour to serve it, $10 an hour to manage, $30,000 a year to manage it. So again, big business owner recruited small business owner recruited employee. That's how it worked. And in both these cases, it's unarguable, that's how it went down. Now, I know if a franchise owner owns 200 stores, he's going to have a general manager in there somewhere. I understand that. But this is exactly how it worked. Not kind of how it worked. It's exactly how it worked. Now, I want to talk a little bit about perception. Because, see, we see things not as they are. We see them how we've been taught to see them. I remember hearing a statement said, if I was born in China, I'd speak Chinese. Now, at first, I didn't know what that meant. But then I realized that even me, a little old Caucasian guy, if I was born in China, I'd be speaking a different language with a different culture. Well, I wasn't born in China. I was born in the middle class, USA middle class. And so I hope you get this. Because see, my friends, all of my friends, because where I was born and who I was born to, all my friends were either employees or salesmen. Every one of them. Not almost every one of them, every one of them. So because you know who we are, who we hang with has a lot to do with who we are. So I hung out with Edward the employee. Now, some of my friends worked at, fast food places, some at major corporations, some at the restaurants, some at the grocery store, some at the top software company. But it doesn't matter. An employee is an employee. And a salesman, I had friends that sold cars, sold jewelry, sold phones, cell phone services, accessories. They sold houses. They sold mortgages. I had friends that sold all sorts of stuff, right? So my friends were here and here. And I want you to know that, see, here I am. I want to be somebody. I'm 23 years old. I was born in the middle class. All my friends were here. So when I came back from Primerica, I said, hey, guys, now where do they hang out? They hang out, right? They go out on Thursday night. They hang out at the happy hours on Friday, right? So I go, guys, listen, I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to own my own business. And what do they say? They say, Brett, slow down, buddy. Why don't you get a job first, huh? Slow down, Turbo. Why don't you get a job first? Because, see, what does the middle class tell us? See, and I would have said the exact same thing when I was 20 years old. And as I interview people one-on-one and I'm talking to them, they tell me this all the time. See, when I talk, and I would have said it as 20 years old too. If somebody asked me, do you want to own a business? I would have said yes. And they say, what's the plan to getting there? I would have said, well, first I'm going to get a bachelor's degree. Then I'm going to go out and work for somebody, a big corporation, for a couple years so that I can get some experience. Then I'm going to go back and get my MBA, a master's in business. Then I'm going to go work for somebody else for a couple more years to get some experience, right? And then I'll start a business. Now, that's like the slogan of every middle class aspiring entrepreneur. That's the way we're going to do it. Well, I wish just name one person that did it like that. That's not how it happens, but that's how we thought it happened. That's what we were going to do. Now, try this on. The best way to get experience working for yourself is working for yourself. The best way to get experience running a business is running a business. The people that I've read about, the biographies and autobiographies of the business owners I've read about, what they did was this. They started a business and failed. And then they started a business and failed. And then they started a business and it succeeded. So what I was taught and the road I was going down, that's not how it works. There's a lot of stories of people that even dropped out of school to start a business so that they got in the game right away. So again, that's advice that would have been wrong had I followed it. Now I say, no, guys, you don't get it. I'm going to be able to own my own business. I'm going to be able to have my own brokerage. I can recruit some people. I can have passive income. I'm like, well, I don't. But listen, guys, this thing is big. I can have my own, I can recruit you, and you can recruit some people, and you can have your own brokerage, and you can have passive income. And all of a sudden they go, recruiting, that's crazy. Recruiting, it must be one of those things. Must be one of those things. All right. When they say that recruiting's crazy, they don't mean recruiting's crazy. What they mean is they've never done any recruiting. See, now I want you to get this. They've been recruited. They've just never done the recruiting. They've never been on the other side of the desk. See, we all know how to get recruited. We put our one and only suit on, right? And, I had to borrow mine from my dad and everything, right? We put our only suit on. We get a big piece of paper that's like this thick. It's $10, not for a ream, but for a sheet. And we put our resume on it. And we start speaking in a language we've never spoke before, right? We say, I'd like to utilize my growing diversified skills in a company that challenges me to my every... And we get into the interview and we sit in a way we've never sat, and they go, so tell me, what are your weaknesses? And I go, well, it's just, to be quite honest, my weakness is I'm a perfectionist. I just do everything just perfect. See, we know how to get recruited. We've been recruited. Matter of fact, Virginia Tech had a class about how to put together a resume and do the right interview and what the questions to ask on the interview. We've been prepared to get recruited. We've never been prepared to do the recruiting. So if you go and talk to my friends because I was born in the middle class, they're going to tell you recruiting, that's weird. But they don't really mean recruiting's weird. They just mean they've never done it before. Because anything you've never seen, anything you've never done, anything you're not familiar with is weird. It's uncomfortable. So their lack of knowledge makes them shy away from it. But see, I want to challenge you on something. Don't leave your future and the future in your family on your friends and family's lack of knowledge. See, let's say for a second that I wasn't born in the middle class. Let's say I was born in the wealthy. I lived in the country clubs and the big houses and the fast cars, and my friends weren't the employee and the salesman, but my friends were Bob the broker and Fred the franchise owner, or even Mr. Real Estate or Mr. Fast Food. I go up to Bob and I say, Bob, now remember, he's 35, 40 years old. He's got the biggest houses, the fastest cars. He's always playing golf. He's always home. He always has a bunch of time, right? And I say, Bob, I want to be just like you. I want to be you got all the time. You got all the houses, all the, cool cars. You got everything. I want to be just like you. Let me take you to lunch. And he goes, well, since you're such and such a son, sure, we'll go do lunch. And so I go, hey, Bob, I take him out to lunch and I say, Bob, I want you to give me some advice. Now remember, he's the top broker in the real estate business. He sells 200 houses every month. He's making a bunch of money. I say, Bob, will you teach me the business? I just opened up my own real estate brokerage in Fort Lauderdale. But before you give me any advice, I want you to know I'm not going to recruit anybody this year. And if I accidentally recruit somebody, I'm not going to license any of them, right? What do you think Bob's going to say? Now think about it. What do you think Bob's going to say? Bob's going to say, what are you talking about? What are you, crazy? How do you think I sell 200 houses and I'm on the golf course? You think I do that by myself? What are you, crazy? Listen, how do you think I have the time? Hey, a broker without an agent is an agent. Because brokers that don't have agents can only do one thing, and that's sell houses. A broker without an agent is an agent. What are you talking about, is what he'd say. What are you, crazy? You're going to have a brokerage and not recruit agents. What are you, crazy? Well, okay, that didn't go over well. So I go to Fred. Now remember, Fred's the Mac Daddy. He's got 25 different franchises, big house, fast car, right? Always spending time with his kids and his wife. And I want to be just like him. I take Fred out to lunch. I say, Fred, I just opened up my own sub-store in Fort Lauderdale, okay? I just got my first franchise. And I want to be just like you. But before you give me any advice, I just want you to know I'm not going to recruit anybody this year. What do you think Fred's going to say? You know what he's going to do? He's going to look around for cameras because he's going to swear that he's on camera because nobody could be that stupid. No, what are you going to do, Brett? What are you going to do? Make the sandwich, flip the sandwich, bag the sandwich, cashier the sandwich, go clean it up and do it again? 24 hours a day, 365 days a year? What are you, crazy? That's what he'd say. What are you, crazy? What are you, you can't run a store by yourself. So wait a minute, let me get this straight. I came to a harsh conclusion pretty early that no matter what you do in life, someone's going to talk trash, right? Every time you get to a fork in the road, you know, and you take a right, everybody on the left talks trash because you took a right. If you take a left, everybody on the right talks trash because you took a left. And if you stay in the middle, both sides call you lazy and indecisive. Now, let me tell you, if I recruit, these guys might call me crazy. But if I don't recruit, these guys are going to call me crazy. Either way, someone's going to call me crazy. I made a decision early on. These guys can call me crazy. Just pay me the money. You can call me crazy all the way to the bank. But really, you got to realize that this is not some slide, but this is how it works. In American business, you either recruit or you get recruited. Now, see, a mistake that people make is they generalize too much. And they say, oh, Primerica, is that thing where you have to recruit? Absolutely not. Agents don't recruit. And you can be an agent here. You can get your licenses. You can help a lot of clients, serve a lot of families, help them get out of debt, save money, and get financially independent, get properly protected. You can do that. And you can make decent money. But if you want to be a broker, brokers do what? They recruit agents. If you want to be Mr. Real Estate, what does Mr. Real Estate do? They recruit brokers. So, see, when I started this business, I never owned a business before. So I see it, and the first thing I naturally think is what? So where do the clients come from? I mean, who do I know that needs protection? Who do I know that needs help saving money or is in debt, right? Who do I know that needs, where do we get the clients? And see, I told friends of mine, family members, and they asked the same question. Where do we get the clients? But all that says, and a lot of people, 98% of the people say that, but all that illustrates is that they've never built a business before. Because anybody that's ever built an organization in the past knows that the most important part of the organization is the personnel. The most important part of building an organization is the personnel. See, let me give you an idea. Whether it's sports or a charity or a church or a business. See, let's say my job or your job was to bring NFL to Orlando. See, there is no NFL in Orlando. So let's say my job was to do that, to bring NFL to Orlando. I just inked a deal with the commissioner. I'm driving back, and what's the first thing I'm thinking about? What's the first thing that's going through my head? First thing, I got to find a coach, a president, a GM, assistant coaches. First thing I'm thinking about is personnel, front office personnel. The second thing I'm thinking about is what? With the front office personnel, I start finding what? Field, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. So the first two things I'm going to think about is personnel. Because the difference between a good organization and a great organization has good people, great organization has great people. I remember hearing somebody told me one time, Brett, the farther you are away from the client, the more money you make. And that blew me away. Because when I started, the first thing I was thinking was, where do the clients come from? Where are the clients? Where are the clients? But if you think about it, if you go to the regular fast food place, the person that gives me my burger, Bob, Ed, he directly deals with the client. But the manager, the guy that trained him, indirectly deals with the client. Who makes more money, Ed or the manager? Manager. Now, the manager, let's say, gets recruited by the franchise owner. Who makes more money, the manager or the franchise owner? The franchise owner. And who makes more money, the franchise owner or the corporate owner, the Mr. Fast Food? Who makes more money? The farther away you are from the client, the more money you make. And so this whole time, my first thought was, get to the clients, get to the clients. But the reality was, the farther away you are from the clients, the more money you make. Let me portray this for a second. See, I draw a line here, and there's employees and managers. Entry level
and managers. All my friends and family, that's where we've been, either entry level or manager. I have friends that have managed pretty big type of companies. They might have been making a six-figure income managing a company. But there's a big difference between the manager and the people in the corporate jet. Big difference between the manager and the executive. See, the employee and the mid-level manager, they're always client-focused. How do we get more clients? How can we keep them around longer? How can we upsell the client? How can we get better customer relations, customer satisfaction? How can we get more clients, faster clients? How can we upsell? How can we get them to keep coming back, right? So these guys are client-focused. But up here, they're personnel-focused. See, what are these guys thinking? How do we train them better? How can we get more people officially trained? How can we get them to do more but take less? How can we get them to be more efficient, to be better, to get them more trained? How can we develop better? They're all personnel focused. But these guys are client focused. See, the first thing I thought was, where do the clients come from? But if Mr. Fast Food, the guy that built a business into, he took a hot dog stand and turned it into 40,000 locations all over the world. If he started this company right now, he wouldn't ask the same thing. He wouldn't ask what I asked, where do the clients come from? Mr. Fast Food, he'd ask this: what's the maximum amount of offices I can open up? And I'd have to say what? Unlimited. What's the territory restrictions of all these offices? It's unlimited. He said, okay, let me get this straight. I can open up as many offices as I want, anywhere I want to. Yeah. Well, who can I get to run these locations? Who can I train to run these locations? Anybody. As long as they're a good person, you can get anybody to train them. You can get anybody to run them. So let me get this straight. I can get anybody I want to train as many locations as I want to, anywhere I want to. Pretty much. From that moment on, he's going to be thinking about what? He's going to be thinking about who's going to run the next location. Where do I find the guy that runs the location in Chicago, LA, Detroit, DC, New York, Philly? Where do I find the next guy that runs the next location? Where do I find the guy that runs the next location and train them better, train them more efficiently so they can run the next location? See, it's just a bigger vision than I had. A vision that encompasses an organization, not just one relationship with a client. That's a big vision. See, you walk into one of those networking lunches and you get three people, the agent, the broker, and Mr. Real Estate. They come into the same party, but they look at it totally different. The agent walks in and says, who here needs to buy or sell a house? I'm your guy. I get houses sold in 3 days or less or guaranteed money back, right? The broker comes in and goes, hey, who here is thinking about getting a part-time or spare tire career? Who here would like to make extra money on their spare time, right? Mr. Remax comes in and says, who would like to run a business? Who would like to own and operate their own business and the freedoms that come with the passive income? See, three people, same organization, different vision, and different results. See, I can always tell where someone's going to end up by the conversations that they have. See, if you're talking about selling all the time, you'll be an agent. If you're talking about recruiting part-timers all the time, you're going to be a broker. If you're talking about recruiting business owners, you'll be Mr. Real Estate. See, you make a decision where you want to be, and then you act in accordance to it. Now, as I speed through this, this is how it works, a recap of what it looks like. See, Primerica markets their products just like any other financial company through offices. You go to any other like office, you're going to see something like that. Offices are ran and owned and operated by regional vice presidents. Regional vice presidents are supported by agents, but you can see that's crossed out because it's really what? Licensed agents that we care about. Licensed agents. So licensed agents market the products through the financial needs analysis. Through that gives us huge competitive advantages. See, through the financial needs analysis, we're able to deal in all 7 major areas as opposed to 1. Most companies out there, they just deal in 1 area. We're able to deal in 7. What does that allow us to do? 1, we don't leave any money on the table because we deal with the insurance business, the investment business, and the debt business. We're making more money per client because we capture it all. But also, we provide a total solution. instead of a client sitting down with one person that just does insurance, trying to get all the business towards insurance, all the money towards insurance, or all the money towards investment, you're sitting down with somebody that does a total solution. So we're going to provide better service and a better deal. Now, I show you that. Those are our competitive advantages, but I show you that because I want you to understand the difference between how the licensed agent thinks and how the owners think. Because every other financial company out there, they would want me to be an agent for them, but that's it. No other financial company talks to me about owning. No other company talks to me about operating my own office. And that's why I'm here. See, ABC Financial, they wanted me to sell for them. Here, I had the chance to be ABC Financial. I had the chance to be my own company within the company. And I want to explain the difference. The licensed agent wakes up every morning thinking about one thing and one thing only. That's what? Where's the next sale? Where's the next client? Where's the next deal? Where's the next thing, right? And so let me give you an idea. If I, in the real estate example, I sold a house last Tuesday. Do you really think Mr. Real Estate is thinking about that one family I helped last Tuesday? Probably not. They're thinking about what? Where's the next office going to happen? Where's the next office going to open up, right? If the burger joint, if I came in and I bought a burger, do you really think Mr. Fast Food is thinking about the one burger I had last Tuesday? Probably not. They're thinking about what? How can they open up the next location, the next store, the next place, right? And so it's the same thing. Now, Primerica is looking for more what? Offices. But offices are supported by what? Licensed agents. So Primerica wants more what? Licensed agents. What does a regional vice president want more of? Licensed agents. What does a future regional vice president like you, what should you want more of? Licensed agents. Because the man or woman with the most licensed agents makes the most money. That's so important, I'll say it twice. The man or woman with the most licensed agents makes the most money. And it's not just in our business. If you had a law firm and you had 30 licensed lawyers, I had a law firm with 3 licensed lawyers, who's going to make more money? If you had a music label with 100 artists on your label, I had a music label with 10 artists on mine, who makes more money? 100. Now, do we get paid to hire artists? No. We get paid to sell records. But who's going to sell more records? You and your 100 artists or me and my 10? Probably you and your 100. See, the man or woman with the most licensed agents makes the most money. In sports, there's rules. See, in basketball, you have to play 5 versus 5. So if we brought the 5 best players from this room to go play the Miami Heat, who's going to win? The Heat. But if we brought 500, who's going to win? The 500, right? Because they're not that good, right? 500 beats 5. And the point is this, in sports, there's rules. So whoever's better wins. But in business, there is no rules. Whoever's bigger wins. See, the reason one burger place sells more than the other, it's not because they have a better burger, because they have more locations. The gas station that sells more gas isn't they got the best gas, they have more stations. So the bigger is better. That's the point. Now let's give you a quick example. Who makes the most money? Broker with 30 agents, broker with 3. Well, we already decided broker with 30, but let me change the story. Let's say this broker is twice as good at selling houses as this one. Who makes more money now? Well, it's a trick question. If this broker goes out, sells 4 houses personally, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. He's out there selling 4 personally. He trains his guys to be half as good as him. So 2, 4, 6 plus 4, 10 houses get sold out of his brokerage. Now this guy, he only sells 2 personally because he's twice as good, trains his guys to be half as good as him. So that's 30 plus 2 or 32 houses get sold out of his brokerage. So think about this. Even though he is twice as good as her, she still makes 3 times more money than that person. Even though he's twice as good, she makes 3 times more money. Why? Because see, even in the business of selling houses, the number one skill is not to learn how to sell a house, but to learn how to hire and train others, learn how to recruit and train others, learn how to recruit and train others how to sell houses. See, in American business, you're not going to get paid the most money for being the best. You're going to get paid the most money for getting somebody to be the best. Who makes the most money today? Bill Gates. Well, what does he do the best of right now? Nothing. But he's got the best people working for him, right? See, look at sports. Michael Jordan, best basketball player ever. He brought 6 championships to the Chicago Bulls. But who made more money, Michael Jordan or the guy that owned the Bulls? I don't listen to music much anymore. I'm that nerdy, corny guy that turned his car into a classroom, right? So you go into my car, it's always about, it's either Bill Whittle or John Addison or somebody good listening about business. But 6 years ago, my buddies always said, Jay-Z's the best, Jay-Z's the best, Jay-Z's the best. But let me ask you, did Jay-Z make the most money when he was the best rapper, or when he started his own label and started hiring some of the best rappers? When he started his own label. See, the person, you look at Puffy. I'm from Washington, D.C., and everybody hates on Puffy. They say Puffy can't sing, Puffy can't dance, Puffy can't rap. But guess what? Puffy makes a lot of money. Why? Because even though Puffy can't rap, he makes money on one of the best rappers ever, Biggie. And even though Puffy can't sing, he made money on one of the best singing groups ever, Jodeci. And even though he can't dance, I'm pretty sure he made money on some dancers as well. So the person that's made the most money in the business of music is a guy named David Giffen. He started Giffen Records and Asylum Records. Now, Giffen, he can't sing, he can't dance, and he doesn't look good. But he's made more money than anybody else in the business of music because he signed some of the biggest names like Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses. So the point is this. If you had in order to make money in music, you don't have to be able to sing, but you better recruit somebody that knows how to sing. And in the business of basketball, you don't have to be great at basketball, but you better recruit somebody that's good at basketball, right? You know Mark Cuban, he can't play ball, but he makes money in the business of basketball because he recruits some good ball players. So we want to talk about building a team and building a client base. And I'm going to fly past this. This is all really good stuff. But I'm going to fly past that because I want to talk about getting people off to a fast start. How to get people off to a fast start. Now, this stuff is very, very important. I'm going to go over, I remember reading a book, and the book talked about the stuff you need to know, most people already know, but they don't apply the priority they need to apply for it. Let me give you an example. See, we all know exercising and working out is important, true or false? It's not that there's lack of knowledge going around. We all know exercise is good for you, right? But some people, it's a 9 or a 10 in the priority level. In some, it's a 2 or 3. For example, Mr. Whittle, he exercised. It's a 9 or a 10, right? So that means no matter what, he'll wake up early, he'll stay up late, he'll take a lunch, he'll break, he's going to exercise. Now, someone like me, maybe I'm a 2 or 3. What does that mean? I exercise as I climb the stairs up to the stage, Maybe it's not. So I know it's just the priority I apply it to isn't as big. So what I'm getting ready to talk to you about, you might have heard before. The question is, what's the priority you're putting to it? Are you getting it done? Or are you just talking about getting it done? See, I'm going to talk about the 6 golden rules. These here, of the 7 years I've been in this business, everywhere I've traveled to, everywhere I've gone, everything I've learned, and every experience I've had has led me to these 6 things. Number 1, as you meet with somebody, whether it's the first time it's at a kitchen table, or it's one-on-one, or at the op meeting, no matter what, we must set the orientation within 48 to 72 hours. No matter what. Now, I see a lot of new people, they get someone to the op meeting, they say, hey, did you like it? And the new person goes, yeah, man, it was awesome. Okay, well, when should we meet? And the new person goes, well, why don't we do the same time next week? And the guy's so excited, he goes, oh, okay. It's not okay. We got to get together within 48 to 72 hours. So if someone said that to me, I don't even look at that as an objection. All I say is, with a big smile, oh, no, we have to get together way before that. And you know what they say? Oh, okay. So you'd be surprised how much people listen and do if you just ask them, if you just tell them. So, no, we're going to have to get together way before that. How about tomorrow? Oh, I work tomorrow. Okay, great. What time do you work? I work 9 to 5. Would you like to get together before that at 7 a.m.? Or would you like to get together after that at 7 p.m.? But see, that's when they know I'm serious. So then they go, oh, well, tomorrow's not going to work. But tomorrow's not going to work, but I could do the next day. I get off work a little early, around 4:30, so we could do 5. Great. Let's see you the day after tomorrow. We got to get together. See, you've heard that before, but see, to some, it's a 3 or 4. But to me, it's a 9 or a 10. It's going to get done. Step number 2, call them that day and every day thereafter. See, even, now, if it was a KTA and I talked to him at 9 o'clock, I'm not going to call 9 o'clock at night. I'm not going to call him after that. But if I did a one-on-one at 12, I'm going to give him a call around 5 or 6. If I did a KT at 9, I'll call him the next day around 12. And I got a little deal where I say, hey, Bill, this is Brett Burks. How you doing? I just wanted to give you a call, let you know that it was a pleasure meeting you today, and I'm real excited about working with you. I also wanted to make myself available, see if you had any questions or if there's anything I could do for you. Great. All right, listen, we got the orientation set for Monday. I'm real excited about working with you. I really think we can do something special. Talk to you later. Listen, plug my phone into your phone. If there's anything I can do, give me a call. Thanks. Boom. And then you touch them every day. Because, see, you got to know this. When I was 23, a lot of the 23-year-olds, they're watching MTV 10, 20 hours a week. And what is leadership? Leadership is influence. How are you going to influence somebody that's listening to MTV 20 hours a week if you're only talking to them 20 minutes? You got to touch them. You got to start influencing them positively, to start thinking about the right things. So even a little text or a call, something that you can do to kind of influence their thoughts and get them thinking in the right direction. Does that make sense? And again, some people, they've heard it, but they just forget to do it. See, as soon as we meet, I put it in my phone, I'm going to call you at that day, 6, 7 o'clock. I'm going to give you a call. It happens. It's a 9 or a 10. It's going to happen. Number 3, at the orientation, you got to get names and numbers and make a copy. You get a list and make a copy. The Fast Start Planner calls that the top 25 list or the top 50 list. We got to, get a list and make a copy. So I sit there for an hour and a half or 2 hours giving them all I got at the orientation, tell them about business, teaching them how to get promoted, how compensation works, all that good stuff. And all of a sudden, it's time where the rubber meets the road. Got to get a list and make a copy. Got to get a list and make a copy. See, I know you're nervous, right? It's a hard part. Again, I know these next 2 are where the rubber meets the road. You got that little butterflies in your stomach, and you kind of tensing up, but you got to get it done. See, I know you've overcame that butterfly and that nervousness before, because we all have it. We all had it before we asked for our first life check or the first time we sat with a client. But we overcame it. See, we used courage to overcome that fear. Now, why did we do it? Well, we knew if we got a client 3 days later, what would happen? We'd make money. Well, shame on you if you use your courage so that you can get paid 3 days later, but you're not using your courage for the success of your new person. Shame on you. See, you need to know that this is the most important thing for them to get off to a fast start. I know they're nervous. And I know you're nervous, but you got to do it anyway. Number 4 is you got to book at least 2 appointments and 2 interviews. I remember hearing Art Williams say the difference between winning and losing is so small, it's scary. I really believe this is probably one of those small things that makes the difference. You do an orientation, I want to set a couple of appointments and a couple of interviews. I want to force something's booked before they leave. Now, I know people, they get nervous, but you got to stay in there. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say 100% of my orientations do I book 2 and 2. But I can tell you this, that it's been years since someone came into an orientation and left without booking at least one something. You got to give them something to look forward to. You got to give them something to fall back on, something that they're going to do the next week or the next time. Got to give them something to look at. Number 5. Meet one-on-one, then group, one-on-one, then group, one-on-one, then group. Big mistake people make. Now, you've heard this before, but it's a 9 or a 10 for me. One of the biggest mistakes people make is, let's say your training nights are Thursday and Saturday. Thursday and Saturday. Well, as a new trainer, you come, you get them Thursday, and you say, hey, how was it, man? And they're like, that's awesome. Great, we'll see you Saturday. And they come Saturday, they say, hey, you excited? I'm excited. You excited? I'm excited. We'll see you on Thursday. And they come Thursday. You excited? I'm excited. You excited? I'm excited. I'll see you on Saturday. And you go Thursday, Saturday, Thursday, Saturday. This business is not built just in the group format. You got to meet one-on-one. You got to sit down with them, do appointments. And, here's the major deal. I know I've seen trainers all the time. They say, how can I get my guys to set appointments, right? And the new guy's thinking, man, I wish he'd train me. And the trainer's thinking, man, if you'd set some appointments, I'd train you. And the new guy's saying, man, if you'd train me, I'd set some appointments. Man, if he'd set appointments, I'd train him. If you'd train me, I'd set some appointments. You got to invest time one-on-one with them. Now, what's the best thing to do one-on-one? Appointments, okay? That's the best thing. The next best thing, do some one-on-ones, okay? But if they don't have any appointments and they're saying they want to win, set up a time where you can meet one-on-one. And what do? You teach them how to set appointments. You spend one-on-one time with them. Because if you're going to train them, you need to spend one-on-one time with them. I heard Art Williams and Hector Lamarck say that a new recruit's not a recruit until you spend 15 hours with them. 15 hours in the first 2 weeks. So you got to spend one-on-one time with them. I don't care what you do. Take them to a movie. Talk to them about insurance. I don't care. Talk to them about the Redskins. Talk to them about something. But you got to spend one-on-one time with them. And they got to come to training. So they got to do both. So what I would suggest is this. They come to training on Thursday, you meet one-on-one on Friday or Saturday. They come to training on Saturday, you meet one-on-one Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Then you come to training on Thursday, they meet one-on-one Friday or Saturday. They come to training Saturday, you meet one-on-one Monday, Tuesday. So you got to meet one-on-one in between each training. Number 6, treat everyone like they're direct. You got to treat everyone like they're direct. Man, I can tell you something. I see so many people, this is an overriding business, but too many people override too soon, right? They might recruit somebody and they say, go get him, man, go get him, man. And they just turn everything over to them. And then they wonder why their business falls back down. Someone said, don't turn your keys to the car over to someone that can't drive. See, you got to do everything in the business for a while. For a period of 2 to 3 years, you have to be the hardest working person in the business. So if you recruit John, John recruits Bob, Bob recruits Bill, you have to treat Bill just like you're treating John. You have to do the steps. You have to do the orientation. You have to go on the appointments. You have to do the orientation. You got to make the phone calls. You got to do the interviews and do the appointments. You have to be to Bill what you were to John. But see, most people, they expect John, who's been here 1 month, to take over and do everything. Doesn't work like that. You got to be everything to everybody. Art Williams said you have to do it and do it until it's no longer humanly possible. You have to make every phone call, you have to do every appointment and every interview until it's no longer humanly possible. That is so important because I see so many times people, they want to get out too soon. They want to stop training, stop going on appointments too soon